This video is sponsored by Squarespace. I've been using the R10 for quite some time. Now 10 technically means it's the lowest of the low, but let's just call it the entry level into the mirrorless system. Let me give you a few specs to get us started, and then I'll tell you who should be using this camera. This camera is an APS-C sensor, meaning it has a 1/6 crop. So it's not a full frame, it's a cropped sensor. But at under $1,000, you can expect a lot from this. First of all, because of the autofocus system. The autofocus system in this camera is the same as you get in the Canon R5 and R3 and really everything in the R line, except for the R and the RP. You know, if you want a video about all the Rs, I have a whole video comparing all of them, so check that one out. With an autofocus system like this one, you can rely on it to hit that eyeball every single time. And of course, it doesn't have to be a human eyeball. It could be human detection, animal detection, or vehicle detection. Or you don't have to set a priority at all. This camera photographs at 24.2 megapixels and up to I forget, let's look. I don't memorize everything, people. I don't know what you want from my life. This camera is a 24.2 megapixel camera, but it's also fast, photographing up to 15 frames per second in mechanical or first curtain electronic shutter, and then up to 23 frames per second in electronic shutter. You may have noticed this is a nice, light, compact camera, and it does have a pop-up flash. So who is this camera meant for? I've been using Squarespace for over a decade, and you can see it at vanessajoy.com. I decided to use Squarespace so long ago because it was, and still is, one of the easiest ways to make a website out there, hands down. Squarespace is a platform where you can create beautiful custom websites in just a few minutes. Choose from a plethora of templates where you can easily plug and play your own work. It's an all-in-one platform for building your brand and growing your business online. We all know that an online presence is crucial for your brand, so build one that stands out. Head over to this link for my exclusive 10% discount on your first domain at Squarespace. Now back to the video. This camera is meant for someone who is an entry-level photographer. Maybe that's a parent wanting to photograph good photos of their kids. Maybe it's a makeup artist who wants to start taking YouTube videos and needs a good video camera because it has some pretty nice video specs too. This camera can shoot up to 4K 60. Now it is cropped in a 4K 60, which yes, could be a little bit cropped on cropped sensor, but you know, with lenses that are available for this camera, like the 16mm 2.8 RF lens that aren't super expensive, you should be pretty good. It also has full HD 120 without audio recording, so you can record super slow motion, and then everything else below it. But one of the things I like about this camera for video is it has a light mode for all of the video modes. So if you want to shoot video but don't want really heavy, burdensome files, then you just use the light selection of any one of the frame rates. This R10 takes one SD memory card, so there is one slot, which is why I probably wouldn't push this into the pro line of cameras. However, if you have somebody that is a hobbyist and they know they might want to expand or grow later, this is your starting point. I wouldn't ever recommend something like the Canon M50 Mark II to somebody who eventually wants to grow in their photography skill and maybe end up making it a career, because the lenses that they ultimately buy would not work with that camera. That camera takes the EF-M mount. This one takes all the regular RF lenses. So you'll be able to start off with lenses like the one I have here, the Nifty 50, the RF 50mm 1.8 lens, and that one's only 179 bucks. As a matter of fact, this is literally the exact thing I would recommend to someone who wants to get started in portrait photography and they know they want to grow from there. Literally, this setup. Under 1,200 bucks. It has every little perk that you would expect, like a rotating screen. The one thing this does not have though is IBIS. It does not have image stabilization, so if you have someone that's coming in and they want to do creative films and they will be hand holding it a lot, probably want to go up to the R7, and you can watch the other video about that. There is digital image stabilization, so of course you could apply that and shoot 4K and crop in. but you know, just some things to think about, just depending on who is going to buy this camera. Another fun perk about the Canon EOS R10 is its ability to shoot vertically. Now I know what you're thinking, I can always just turn a camera and shoot vertically, of course. Yes, but it has an auto rotate feature that you can enable in the camera so that if you are filming vertically, filming video vertically, download it to your card or Wi-Fi it to your phone, because yes, there's Wi-Fi capability in here, it is going to automatically rotate that video so you're not watching it sideways and you don't have to rotate it after the fact. It does all that work for you. It is worth commenting that the battery here is one of the smaller models, so you're not going to get the battery life out of this camera as you would, let's say, in the R7, 6, R5. And then of course, if they are planning on growing, they will have to buy new batteries if they're going to move up in body. Here are just a few photos from the R10 being edited with my presets here in Lightroom. This is Joy Volume 1 and 2 that you can get at breatheyourpassion.com. I really enjoyed editing these files, honestly. I got so much out of the dynamic range, and then of course messing around with the colors is always a lot of fun, but I thought you would just like to see some of the raw files pulled into Lightroom from the R10. At under $1,000, this is the perfect entry-level camera, like I mentioned before. If you have someone that wants to take beautiful photos of their kids, they're just starting out, it's super easy to use, primarily because of the focusing system, but it also has menu assist, which I just find helpful. Let me know what you think of the R10 and who would be perfect buying this camera and having it serve them in wherever they are in their photography journey. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you next time.